This is Mac OS Ken.
A couple of calls for a larger iPhone launch. The Towson Retail Union reaches a deal with Apple. And I am going to gripe about streaming. It is Monday, the 12th of August, 2024. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from Mac OS Ken. Brought to you by yours truly and supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/MacOSKen. Wedbush analyst Daniel Ives would like to remind you that iPhone 16 is on the way. Apple 3.0 ran part of a note he wrote on a Sunday. On a Sunday! Apple 3.0 ran part of a note he wrote on Sunday, quoting that, with anticipation from the street and broader tech industry building for Apple's iPhone 16 AI-driven launch in September, our recent Asia checks this week are giving us more confidence this upgrade cycle will kick off a long-awaited renaissance of growth for Cupertino over the next year. We now believe initial iPhone 16 shipments will be closer to 90 million plus versus original street expectations in the 80 million to 84 million range and up double digits year on year. His was not the first mention of a 90 million iPhone launch. On Friday, Mac Rumors ran a piece highlighting a report from Business Korea that had Foxconn hiring 50,000 new workers in just 2 weeks' time ahead of the launch of iPhone 16. Those are said to be for facilities in Zhengzhou, China, where roughly 80% of iPhones are made. According to the report, Apple apparently decided to boost production by 10% this year, aiming for a total output of 90 million iPhone 16 models in expectation of strong sales. That piece goes on to cite local media outlets indicating that Foxconn has significantly raised wages and bonuses to attract the necessary workforce. Assuming things go as they usually do, the iPhone 16 line should start rolling out to consumers in the next 5 or 6 weeks, which should put us about 1 month from the Associated Media event. Now back to Mr. Ives, who writes, "This iPhone upgrade cycle could be a historical one, setting the stage for a super cycle, as currently we estimate roughly 300 million iPhones globally have not upgraded in over 4 years. In our view, Apple could sell north of 240 million iPhone units in fiscal year 25 as this AI-driven upgrade cycle takes hold." It's not just about hardware, though. The analyst thinks AI could do a number on Apple services, by which I mean a higher number. Ives says he and his believe AI technology being introduced into the Apple ecosystem will bring monetization opportunities on both the services as well as the iPhone and hardware front, and adds $30 to $40 per share. Mr. Ives has an outperform rating on Apple shares. His price target on the shares is $285. The I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. A piece from 9 to 5 Mac says the deal between Apple and the union representing retail workers at its Towson Town Center store in Maryland is officially official. I told you a couple of weeks ago that the two sides had reached a tentative deal that was thought to have covered such issues as scheduling improvements, pay raises, higher starting salaries, limits on contract workers, and transparency around disciplinary issues. The agreement had to be voted on by union members, and that is now done. 9 to 5 Mac had Brian Bryant, president of the union representing the store, saying in a press release, "The historic agreement secured by the courageous IAM core members at the Towson Apple store sets a new standard for Apple retail workers nationwide, proving the undeniable power of collective bargaining. The IAM has proven once again that we have the strength to take on some of the biggest companies in the world and win." Apple Maps on the web has found its way to another browser. A piece from Mac Rumors says the service landed on Mozilla's Firefox late last week. Toward the end of July, Apple Maps had a few browsers, A piece from Engadget said then that the service brought directions, guides, opening hours reviews, and other helpful information for businesses, as well as actions such as ordering food. But it did not bring them to Firefox, at least not until last week. Prior to last Thursday, MacRumor says, attempting to visit the Apple Maps website popped up an error message that the Firefox browser was not supported. Apple's support document for its web-based Maps feature now lists Safari, Edge, Chrome, and Firefox as supported browsers on Mac and iPad, and Edge, Chrome, and Firefox on Windows PCs. One smart home feature from Apple is about to matter more. Apple Insider says with the arrival of iOS 18 this fall, Apple's adaptive lighting feature will work with lights compatible with the Matter smart device platform. The piece explains, adaptive lighting is a HomeKit feature that allows for smart bulbs and lights to be adjusted throughout the day. It automatically alters the color temperature of the bulbs to a schedule similar to the white balance adjustments of Night Shift. Gonna be some sweet sounds coming down from those lights, huh? Expanded Matter compatibility is kind of a big deal. Should make smart device adoption less confusing and thus more common. If you want to hear more about that, I highly recommend a show I did last week with Home On host Richard Gunther. He joined me for the most recent episode of the Mac Observer show, talking about the Matter platform, Apple in the home automation space, and a whole bunch of other stuff too. You can watch that show, youtube.com/MacObserver. You can also hear the show at macobserver.com/podcasts or grab it wherever you get podcasts. So the other night, my special lady friend and I watched some of the teasers and trailers from D23. That's the big convention that Disney has, announcing all the stuff coming from all of its properties over the next little while. House of Harkness from the Marvel side looks interesting, as does the Star Wars entrant Skeleton Crow. While I am excited to see a return for Woody and Buzz in Pixar's Toy Story 5, the teaser for that seemed seriously lackluster. Turns out, for a very good reason. The video was made for a screen that is roughly 1 inch by 1 inch. According to a piece from 9 to 5 Mac, the short teaser appears to be heavily reusing assets from all the Toy Story Apple Watch faces introduced with watchOS 4 in 2017. Twitter user Dylan McDonald did a pretty neat trick on his account, running the D23 Toy Story tease with the Apple Watch video inserted, and yeah, it looks like all they did was upsize the video. There are two ways to view this. Chintzy is the easiest. If you'd rather have a childlike sense of wonder, though, Disney literally looked at 7-year-old video that you wear on your wrist and said, "That's seriously good enough to tease the planet." Plenty of time for the studio to produce more. Toy Story 5 is not expected until the summer of 2026. And finally today, Lisa Kudrow's Time Bandits becomes a surprise hit, reads a headline from Cult of Mac. I think of it more as Taika Waititi's Time Bandits, but what do I know? Okay, I actually know a bit more about it than Cult of Mac. Minor shade, though no offense intended. Cult of Mac says all 10 episodes of Time Bandits premiered the 24th of July on Apple TV Plus at once. No waiting, says the piece. They're all ready to binge watch now. So I guess nobody at Cult of Mac is watching Time Bandits. Yes, it looked like Apple was planning to drop all 10 episodes at once. Instead, though, it is doing 2 per week every Wednesday. Little harm, Cult of Mac. We all make mistakes. I will say I am watching Time Bandits, and I'm enjoying it. There's also a 13-year-old in the house who is watching it and enjoying it. And maybe that is what makes it a hit. I'm having difficulty, though, with the charts from Real Good and Just Watch, which are the basis of the article from Cult of Mac. You know what I would like? Like, a lot? Transparency on streaming numbers. According to the Cult of Mac piece, for the week of the 1st of August, Real Good had Time Bandits at number 5 for TV shows in the US, while Just Watch had the show at number 4 for roughly the same period. Here's the thing, though. Over the weekend, Apple TV Plus had the show at number 7 among only its TV shows. What does that show? Well, according to its chart, the Real Good Top 10 ranking uses first-party data from interactions with movies and TV shows on the platform in real time from its users in the US. That would seem to indicate interest in the listed titles from a subset of active viewers in the States. Put differently, just because people are looking up information on a show doesn't mean they're actually watching it, and besides, we have no idea what percentage of viewers are using either Real Good or Just Watch. But just as IDC, Canalys, and others list hardware numbers that we can't check, the absence of hard numbers from Apple leads everyone to run and run with chart positions presented by Real Good and Just Watch, just as they/we run with hardware numbers from IDC, Canalys, and others. On Apple's chart, Presumed Innocent, Lady in the Lake, Slow Horses, Ted Lasso, Cowboy Cartel, and Sunny were all ahead of Time Bandits over the weekend. Yet only one of those, Presumed Innocent, was ahead of Time Bandits on the charts for Real Good and Just Watch. It's kind of annoying if you think about it. Too much, which I seem to have done. Presumed Innocent and Time Bandits are the only two Apple TV Plus titles on either service's top 10 show charts in the US. Take that for what it is worth. macOS Ken, brought to you by me and supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macOSCan. Advertising handle by Backbeat Media. Online at backbeatmedia.com. You can reach me a couple of ways. Info at macosken.com or call 716-780-4080. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Ciao.